back. Canadian Tire has signed a $30 million deal to purchase the intellectual property of Hudson's Bay. We'll talk about some of those brands and some of those logos with our next guest, David Ian Gray, founder and principal at Dig360. David, thanks a lot for joining us. The money that Canadian Tire is paying here is de minimis, to use a phrase, a word that gets used in the financial sector. Canadian Tire had profit last year. This is normalized net income, which excludes some one-time gains of approximately $790 million. So it's safe to say that $30 million is not a big outlay for Canadian Tire. What do you think of the price being paid here?
It reminds me of, I'm a sports fan, so it reminds me of, hockey or baseball. You pick up some veteran assets that are maybe declined, but at almost no price outlay. And hey, there's some upside if they can play with this. They have some creative options, and if some or all don't work out, it really isn't a loss. So I think it's a really good win for Canadian Tire. Low cost, some upside. Remind us
about some of the brands that are being purchased here. There's a lot of attention today on the multi-stripes that we're all familiar with, those blankets, coats of arms. But you may, in some notes, you also mentioned Gluckstein Home Hardwares. That's a line of furniture, bedding, patio furniture, and so on. I'm not familiar with that brand. Is that a strong brand as well? And do you expect Canadian Tire to start selling items like that?
Yeah, I'll just correct that a little bit. It's Gluckstein Home, and it's probably one of the more notable sub brands that Hudson Bay carried, and that's particular to its home decor housewares area. And I think there's a little bit of name recognition with that one. There's Distinctly Home, which was a little bit more junior brand. The other one that's kind of notable we can talk about is Zellers. They picked that up. But I think those product brands probably are what Canadian Tire was really going after, and the stripes and the iconic look. There's some play there maybe, but that's more of a feel-good aspect.
Is there any life left in this Zellers brand? That is a brand that's been kicked around pretty badly over the past 10 or 15 years.
Well, I'm kind of bearish on that one. I mean, Hudson Bay, strangely, in my opinion, tried to revive that brand a couple of years ago, and I don't think that really landed. The product is a bit of a joint venture with a particular supplier out of Australia. Hey, you never know, right? In terms of price point and where Canadian Tire operates, it's kind of overlapping sort of the heartland of where the historical Zellers shopper might have been, but I don't think that's one. But I think Gluckstein is a nice strategic fit because in some ways Canadian Tire is the modern version of a department store, especially if you add in the outlying properties like Sport Chek and Mark's Party City. But Gluckstein is, if you're thinking about kitchenware, maybe linens, that sort of thing, it's part of that home offering that Canadian Tire is all about, that maybe they've been a bit weak or they've got gaps in the mix. So I think that one's a pretty good fit.
What's the right way for Canadian Tire to move forward here? In particular, why don't we just dwell for a minute on the stripes? That's the strongest visual in this story. What's the right way for Canadian Tire to use those stripes moving forward?
Well, first of all, say I'm an unabashed Canadian file. Very outspoken on that. So I value what Hudson Bay Company has meant adjacent to our history. And there's some not so good elements of that, but it's important to our history. So I think first and foremost, the fact that Canadian Tire acquired that is good for Canada. It's another iconic, historical, Canadian-owned, Canadian headquartered enterprise. And compared to other places those properties may have ended up, this is probably, in my opinion, maybe the best case scenario, because Canadian Tire also appreciates heritage. They'll periodically do heritage-related communications and branding. They appreciate history, and the CEO, Greg Hicks, made a really nice comment when they announced this yesterday, affirming that. In terms of what they could do with it, there's some downside there, and the two downsides are, in our research, we've observed that the feelings that have outpoured toward Hudson Bay Company and its demise are really divided on generational grounds. And so, it's really an older shopper. Maybe they don't consume as much anymore that feels for that brand. And people that are younger, especially under 30, they associate anything about Hudson Bay, if they're even aware of it, with negativity. I mean, that was a derelict kind of retail operation for quite some time. So I think firstly, for that to really revive as a product brand, there needs to be sort of a storyteller built in again, and for new Canadians as well. A lot of us don't know what it's all about. Secondly, there's a chance that this, the product, if it's done sort of poorly or adjacent to impulse items in the store, could actually erode even further any kind of brand value with that the stripes and the iconography. So there's some cautions, but I think basically they can take that and they could do some seasonal feel good around it. And people, if they keep the quality up, especially on the blankets, there are those who still want to buy those items.
Canadian Tire, I've done many interviews over the years with people on Canadian Tire. It's respected as a very solid operator. Do you think they'll get this right?
Yeah, what right means to them might be different from what, a lot of shoppers, especially older shoppers, hope is right. I certainly don't see any revival of a Hudson-based store. So we're really talking here about products. But they're such a good, well-oiled operator, and they know how to manage brands. They have other brands in their mix, Dakota, especially in Marks and Sport Check. I won't rhyme them all off, but they know how to build brands, and I think they'll put. I'm bullish on the fact that whatever they do with these assets, they're going to be strategic with it. They're not looking for an off-sale quick win.
David, thank you very much for this. That's David Ian Gray, founder and principal at Dig 360.